cuffs are off, man.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, friends? Daniel Dopp here from the Fantasy Focused Football Podcast over on ESPN.
It's Fabs here, Michael Fabiano from Sports Illustrated.
You know who you can trust? If you've got some questions about your fantasy squad,
Want to check out a cool show on YouTube that'll help you get ready for the fantasy football season?
check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network. If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Head on over to YouTube. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network because they're doing everything they can to make you a better fantasy player.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go and roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting down cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right cause I
What up, all? Well, world. Sorry, I'm already a few deep. Welcome to the Get Right Fantasy Network. Great to have you guys back tonight. We are doing our mock draft of champions. This is Superflex week, so we are going to be doing two, not just one, two Superflex mock drafts tonight of all the winners of this week's mocks. And also, I lucked out tonight, and I got a wonderful guest. He was here last week. Evan, what's going on, brother? Great to have you here.
Glad you decided to have me on tonight, Mike. I'm happy to return second Friday in a row. This would be good stuff.
I know. I'm excited because I got to talk with you last week kind of through the chat. This is my first time that I get to actually defend my position of certain things here tonight, but we're going to get into all that in a little bit once we get this thing going. Evan tonight is in this particular mock. He won one of our mocks, so he will be in this one in the 11 hole right now. So we are going to get this thing started. Let me just make sure. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting buttons and everything. Let me get everybody all set. All right.
The silence isn't too awkward. No problem at all.
Sorry. That's
it's all good. I'm just teasing. So I just figured this would probably at some point you're gonna want to clap back at me for all the terrible, horrible things I said about Tyrone Tracy and the New York Giants last week.
No, we'll get to Tyrone later. I promise you. Because this tonight, I want to focus on the people that are in here tonight. We got Breaking Ball, we got Heat, we got Neanderthal, we got Puka. We got Doc Watson. We got Dildos. Love that name. It just rolls right off the tongue. We got John in there. We got Flag RJ. What's going on, man? We got Ralph Dennis. We got Aiden White. We got Evan right here in the 11 hole, and we got Lord of Fana, who I love. One of our OGs in this particular mock. So really excited to have everybody in here. So good luck to everybody tonight. These will be, these are going to be graded on. These will be graded on, and everyone will know everything by Monday. And who's going to be moving on to our best ball championship. Remember, this is our 4th year of doing this. It's been really exciting to have this group of people, everybody coming in. Please, if you want to be a part of this, we're going to be doing one QB next week. In the description, we have our Discord. Jump into that Discord. That's where you're going to get everything. Evan's in that Discord right now. You'll get to see everything in there. You get to see when the mocks are starting and be a part of these particular mocks. Really excited for this, that we started to build this. So now that you made your picks, I wanted to at least get you past that. So let's talk about some news and notes that have happened. We'll talk about Tyrone Tracy shortly. But let's talk about some of the biggest news that came out no more than about an hour ago. Tom Pelissero put out, the NFL initially proposed a lengthy suspension that would sideline Rashid Rice for over half the season. And while the September 30th hearing date has not been set, it's possible a settlement could be reached before the season. Now, there were going on, he actually reposted again stating that it would, the NFL was looking for 10 plus games. NFLPA was like, Now, so now we got to find that. They're going to try to find that happy median, I guess. What are you thinking? I keep hearing everything between 6 to 8. I thought it was going to be way less. I was very wrong on that. Is he someone that you're looking at drafting with all this news?
Oof. Yeah, at this point, Mike, until we hear a little bit more about what's going to happen, I would fully expect his ADP to plummet at this point. I think he's going to be a hard out, a hard pass for a lot of people in fantasy football leagues. I expect his ADP to fall tremendously as redraft leagues start to pick up in these next couple of weeks. I can't see a real reason to draft him any higher than like the 8th round at this point, because if we could potentially be without him beyond 4 weeks, there's just no reason to spend a higher capital pick on the guy. So we're not going to know more until potentially September 30th with so many unknowns right now up in the air. Yeah, because I don't expect even if the NFL doesn't hand out a punishment, anything severe to Rashee Rice, it's clear that the Kansas City Chiefs are not going to hand out a team suspension on their own, because they're just like the Cleveland Browns. They're also a team that doesn't mind when their players get in trouble off the fields. They don't give a rat's ass. They can handle they can handle looking past the noise with their championship aspirations, unlike the Browns. But yeah, so I think that's where Rashee Rice is going to fall at this point. I think he's going to go way below the 8th round.
Okay, and that's fair. I mean, I have him. I just brought him down to I got him around 33 at this point. So hopefully, that seems about where he could go at one point. So I was listening to Jeff Ratcliffe on the way home last night, and he was talking about his suspension. And one thing he brought up, which I thought was actually a pretty good point, the Chiefs have a bye week in week 10. He's going to be out. He's going to be out there for the first 4 weeks. Maybe it's a 6-game suspension or 5-game suspension that leads him all the way up until that bye week, and then he comes back after the bye week in week 11. That's something that could happen. But like I said, that particular post that came out from Tom Pelissero, if it's 10 games or more, that's going to be significant. And it's to the point where you're only using this guy for roughly 4 games and then maybe a game or 2 at the end of the year for your playoffs. I don't think that that's something that people want to be a part of. So I'm currently going to be trying to avoid, if at all. And because he's not going to be able to put on your IR. If he was someone that you could throw on your IR, I'd be all on board. But right now, I can't do it. I can't do it. So Jay Money goes, what's up, fellas? What's going on, brother? We got Philly Mike OG. He's got NFL trivia. Can anyone name the one player who has the most 20-plus sack seasons? Interesting. That's a good question.
Without cheating with Google, I don't know that one. I'm guessing Reggie White, but I could be wrong.
I was going to say him, but I wanted to say Lawrence Taylor, of course. And, this is a Philly guy, so I'm assuming it's somebody from the Philadelphia Eagles. I could be wrong there. I don't think it's LT. I think he only did it twice. Strahan only did it once. Yeah. Don't know, man. Don't even know, man.
Are we going to be showing off the draft board here, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my bad. Thank you. Dude, this is why I need a producer. I just get so into my feels here. So, yeah, we're going to be showing the mock as we go. We're currently going into the 4th round here. Sorry, everybody. That was not my intention. Right now, we got Aiden going. Hopefully, I can snipe you a couple times there, Evan. Okay.
We'll see. I saw that comment, Aiden, and I guess you kind of did with the Garrett Wilson pick in the 3rd round, but I wasn't completely married to that pick either, so I don't feel bad about it.
Okay. I like that. I was gonna ask you about Garrett Wilson, but I want to talk about Jay's question here. So, Jay goes PPR league 3 flex 2.5 per carry,
quarter per carry.
Quarter per carry, and then we got 15-yard rush per point. Okay, a little different. I decided to pick 12. Should I try and grab A-Chain or and like Puka or Nico at the turn? I'm assuming, or 2 running back and grab Jacobs and A-Chain, and then round 3 grab Kamara and Walk. Then round 3 grab. That's a great question. I think I would probably lean more towards. I don't have any problem going with Kamara and Walker. I think Kamara and Walker, based on those stats, they can definitely hit those numbers. But what you're getting in round 2 with the wide receivers, I don't like as much. I'd rather have Puka and Nico with Kamara and Walker. So I think that's what I would do. What about you there, Ev?
So this answer is probably not going to be to Jay's satisfaction because it's going to be a bit flaky, but I think this really depends on the vibes of your league. And being in the 12 spot, you have the luxury to get a feel for how your league is going to be drafting. So maybe if like 10 running backs go off the board, if 10 wide receivers go off the board, you can judge it based on that and then make your 2 picks in a row based off of that. These days, being that we're in a new decade where wide receivers are very plentiful, I like to grab a hero running back and a hero wide receiver if I can do that at the 12 turn. That's at least the way I like to do things these days, but I'm also not opposed to still going running back like we all did in the 2010s, back when there were a lot more stud running backs than there are now, where the running back committee has now taken over. But now we're in an era of two solid running backs the way the Lions run the football between Gibbs and Monty. So yeah, if you grab Achane and then grab somebody like a Puka Nacua or Nico Collins, that's totally fine. If you grab Jacobs and Achane, that's also totally fine. And if you can grab Kamara between rounds 3 and 4, you better do that, man, because people are sleeping on the Saints' offensive weapons this year because everybody's scared. Oh, he doesn't have a quarterback. Yeah. But it's Alvin Kamara. He's going to still get his volume. So screw that he doesn't have a quarterback narrative. Whoever's under center as the signal caller, grab Kamara anyway.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about them not even it is partially the quarterback, but for me it's also the line. The line to me, they're losing Will Clapp. Trevor Pennington is still getting used to left guard, which is probably that's his spot. I mean, the guy's a bruiser and can really do well in that spot. The line is still not going to be what it should be, and I don't think he'll be able to do what he can, even though he can, he's more of a pass catcher guy. I think they'll get him involved. I know they're going to try to get him more, use. Kendrick Miller, he has no real anyone behind him, so I understand the reasoning behind it. Kendrick Miller is a really good back, but he can't stay healthy. I think Devin Neal is still trying to get, I don't think you can rely on Devin Neal right away. And at one point, once, Taysom gets, healthy, he'll be involved at one point. Not as much. We're not saying that, he's their number one running back, but they will use him often. So,
yeah. Mike, I'm going to be honest with you. It would not surprise me if they turn to Taysom Hill to be a quarterback all over again with how that quarterback room does not look good. I
wish.
But here's the thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting. The Las Vegas Raiders last season went through 3 different quarterbacks. That was between Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and then they had to turn to Desmond Ridder because both of those guys got hurt. They went through 3 different quarterbacks. Brock Bowers was still the top tight end on the season. So if you're going to rely on your offensive pieces like an Alvin Kamara, don't let the quarterback situation scare you away with that, even if it ends up being Taysom Hill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing is my only thing with the QB not being as good and it affecting the running back. Teams tend to let those types of quarterbacks just throw, and they put 8 in the box, and then it pretty much takes a guy like Kamara out of commission in general, and it just makes it where they force them to throw. It's like, okay, enjoy, throw on us. We can beat you. And it becomes an issue. Now, I'm not saying not to draft Kamara. I think he can be heavily involved. If they, Kellen Moore is a pretty good offensive coordinator in his own right. So for them to, scheme things to work the way that they need to, I think they can make it work because they clearly know that Kamara is their best guy. So they will find a way to make it work. So I'm not really too worried about Kamara. I like Walker in this equation as well. I think he's easily going to handle, excuse me. He's going to handle 70% of that workload for the running backs. I do like that for this type of thing where it's 15 yards rush per point and the quarter point for carry. I really do think it's somebody that can do well in this offense. I agree with you, Evan, with going with a hero running back and a hero wide receiver, and then, pretty much alternating going down if that's going to be the way that you do things. Grabbing Nico and then grabbing Nico and Jacobs, and then, grabbing something like JSN and well, not JSN and Walker, but JSN and Kamara or something like that, in the next 2 rounds after that, and going, like that going forward. He goes, that way I can hog all the running backs and stop others from getting them. I love the wide receiver. I love the wide receiver in rounds 5 and 8. I agree. I mean, it's one of those scenarios that running back falls off a cliff in this,
Jay, it sounds like you've kind of got your mind made up in a way where if you already love the wide receivers in rounds 5 through 8, yeah, sure, you can absolutely punt at wide receiver because, like I said earlier, they're plentiful. You don't have to necessarily reach on guys like Neighbors or Amon-Ra St. Brown like Lordo Fanta did in the 112-201 turn. You can absolutely wait at wide receiver. You don't have to depend on like 2 studs in a row. You can, if you can grab a stud and then you can wait to grab other wide receivers that are still going to have solid value. So I went a little different here at the 11 spot, where I went Barkley followed by RJ Harvey, just because a lot of running backs went before I could grab another one at this point. So that being said, I am now going to grab my second quarterback because so many of them went off the board so quickly. So let's see what I can do. I think I'm going to do Tua.
Interesting.
Then I at least about that. So, yeah, based off of ADP, Tua is a lot lower than Michael Penix, Cam Ward, Bryce Young, and even Matthew Stafford. I just like the weapons on the Miami Dolphins still. I think Tua still has his options to throw to, where I don't believe in Bryce, Ward, or Penix as much. The Miami Dolphins offense looked terrible last season with just, I think, in my opinion, bad coaching. But let's go Quinshon Judkins here also, just because he happened to fall my way. And I see Aiden's question, which is what I wanted to get into.
I was going to, we're going to get into that.
So,
finish what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, that I was pretty much done with that thought as well, where I just like Miami's offense still, as much as they struggled last year. They still have Tyreek. They still have Jalen Waddle. They don't have Jonnu Smith anymore, but I mean, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. They still have the running backs to check down to as well. I still like Tua at least as a QB2.
Okay, fair enough. I'm nervous with him just because of his, injury past. It makes things a little bit more murky for me when I'm trying to find a QB. Everyone, injuries happen everywhere, but it just seems that he can't stay healthy, each season with some type of ailment. In most cases, it's, the concussions where he's out for about 3-4 weeks, and it becomes a little bit of an issue. So I've tried to stay away from Tua if I can, but you're not wrong. He's got a really good group that could do well. I'm a little nervous about the offensive line, to be quite honest. I look at offensive line for about 90% of what I do with fantasy. I've learned a long time that the game is won in the trenches, and it's one of those things where it's instilled in my head. My brother played offensive line in college. He played for Stony Brook. He was a D1 O lineman. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to that. I continue to think that way whenever I play fantasy football. I want to look at the line. I want to see who's involved, who's been there the longest, see if that line's been together for a long time, if it's brand new. This offensive line is brand new. They just lost Tyrone Armstead, who is, in this case, it would be, he's the left tackle, which is really his right tackle. And, that's a huge loss for this team. It's going to be an interesting experience for them. I think they're going to have to be quick. Tua is, for his own credit, one of the best at getting the ball out quick. So I can see him doing well. I just don't feel comfortable with a guy like that. He just makes me a little, nervous. So Jay Money goes, I love the advice, guys. Top notch, great stream. I shared it on Facebook. Don't forget to like, hey man, we really appreciate it. Make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our Discord below as well. Thank you for spreading the word. We really do appreciate it. All right, Aiden. What?
Yeah, I was just about to say, so getting to Aiden's question, how are we feeling about Judkins? Yeah, so now that the NFL decided to allow Judkins into the NFL. It does not appear he's going to be facing a suspension. It does not appear the Browns are going to do anything else to him. They're going to sign his second round rookie contract. All of his domestic violence charges have been dropped. I am creeped out by how the evidence was handled, where I'm no lawyer, but from a legal standpoint, this looks a bit fishy to me, where it's because the NFL is a mighty powerful organization that can find ways to dismiss female victims of domestic violence when men do it to them. I don't like it one bit. I don't condone it. I definitely don't know. I mean, I can't say for certain if Judkins is innocent or guilty because we don't have that information. But as far as sticking with football at the moment, I had Quinshon Judkins as my rookie RB2. I think he's going to be taking on a bell cow role because I don't believe they have anybody else in that backfield who can handle it outside of a committee approach. I don't even think Dylan Sampson can handle a lead role of more than 60% of the snaps in trying to be a bell cow type of back.
That's fair.
I think Judkins is going to be the Nick Chubb replacement, and assuming nothing else goes wrong with him, he'll be the guy.
No, I agree. I was a little nervous about it. I'm glad that, I'm glad for whatever happened that he's able, believe me, no one wants charges against him in any way, shape, or form. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I can't condone anything that is being alleged. Believe me, that's not something that I condone in any way, shape, or form. It's one of those things where now it comes to football. He's acquitted, all the charges drop. He's now a football player. So if I'm putting him with the Browns currently at this point, and I look at his particular situation, you got to steal in the 8th round, in my opinion. It's one of those things where I'm a little nervous because of what Aiden said right here. He still missed a ton of camp.
I don't care.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to lead into that, is that honestly, it's not the end of the world. He will get better. He's a new running back. They usually take time to get. Normally, rookie running backs take until I think week 8. I think week 8 is the number where they start understanding and rolling with the punches and trying to get used to how the line works and everything. It's going to take a minute. So either way, even if he were to start like today, like even if he was still in the middle of camp and getting to this point, it would have taken till like week 8. I'm okay with getting him where you did. You're not investing too much. He's your running back 3 at this point, which is easy to just throw in the flex or put him on your bench and wait to see how it works out. And, maybe Harvey turns out to be the better choice. And then you're in a good spot. So I like Judkins to do well. I think it kind of, for people like myself who are still doing their rookie draft this, in 2 weeks, it changes things up significantly for those that are still doing their rookie drafts. I've been talking to buddies of mine and they're like, they didn't even think Judkins could even be there. And now a lot of them are like, I don't know, maybe he falls to the 2nd round in these drafts. And that's a steal in my opinion. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out especially for me. And I'm just happy because I have my trophy with me today because I finally got my trophy. Oh, it's lovely.
Ooh.
We made our own little helmet we bought, and I made all the designs for it. And we have like little stickers on there for each team, their logos and the years they won.
So. I love that 90s S on there.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a funny story. So the guy that has that is his last name is Scanlon. And I asked him, I'm like, so his team name is the Grundle Grabbers. And I'm like, do you want me to find something or make something for you? Like I love doing digital, creations and trying to find things using AI, trying to do all different types of fun stuff. And he was like, no, I just want to do something simple. And he ended up just finding that. And he's like, just make this my thing. I'm like, all right. Oh, he's such a loser.
So I take it your league puts the nasty back in Dynasty, huh?
Well, that's the point. Nasty. I love it. Yeah, no, what up, Ant? What's going on, Rasta? How you doing, brother? Yeah, it's a great league. It's a salary cap dynasty league. I don't know if you've ever done one of those. It is fun.
Never done salary cap.
So basically, the start is an auction, and every player, you have your cap, which is 250. Well, we do 250, and basically you draft your team. So it's an auction style draft in the beginning. But what happens is whatever you draft that player at, they have the value of that as their contract. So if you put an auction in for and draft, let's just say Josh Allen for $20, he's $20 towards your cap. Running back, wide receiver, so on and so forth, and your team is based off of that. And you basically every year your team increases either by $1 or 10%, whatever's higher. So in this case, if it's $20, he would increase to 22, and then the next season after that, 24, and then 27, and then keep going up. Rookies, when we draft them, they have like tiers. So like the first 3 are $17, then 15, then 13 for each tier, and then they go down as you go down the rounds. And every year, and then there's fab bidding for free agents, and those count towards your cap as well. So it's like, honestly, it's like running a real team, and it's quite fun. You have to drop below cap before we, pick up people. You have to do all these fun things. I really enjoy it. It makes you think a little bit more. It makes you more involved. Ooh, interesting. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So Jay Money goes, the NFL should have known, having known tolerance for violence, period. Oh, okay. They're supposed to set standards for kids. 4 games is a soft punishment for Rice's sake, though. Not gonna lie, hoping only 4 games. I don't disagree with you, Jay. I think me and Evan can both agree that, one, it shouldn't be tolerated. It's ridiculous the way that they handle it. This is not the first situation. I mean, Ray Rice was the person to start this pretty much the whole thing, and made it where I still am flabbergasted by that whole thing. He was 2-game suspension for what happened is absolutely insane.
Yeah, so here's what I'll say on top of that as well. Ray Rice, I mean, I think he's referring to Rashee Rice here, Jay.
No. I knew who he was. I was saying,
yeah. But I'm just saying, yeah, the Ray Rice situation only got escalated the way that it did is because it got caught on camera, and it became a colossal PR nightmare for everybody involved. And therefore, now with what happened with Quinshon Judkins, all of a sudden there's no video evidence, there's no witness testimony, and that's why I said earlier that it creeped me out, because how does all of that disappear when that there's no way that nobody knew about it? But you're gesturing right now, that's the likely explanation. I don't want to speculate too much harder on it, but what Rashee Rice did, though, with his terrible irresponsible driving is that's a bigger problem than we have time to talk about, where I'm kind of outside of fantasy football, I'm kind of a public transit nerd, where I live in Chicago. I don't own a car, and I love being able to get around without needing a car. It's so much cheaper and lovelier, where in America, that's kind of seen as weird, because most cities just don't have adequate public transit. Unlike, you're in New York, I'm in Chicago. We've got that, where most of America doesn't.
Yeah, I got a 24-hour train system that goes to and from Long Island on a constant basis that, all day, every day we have, the MTA constantly running. So I live out on the island. I'm out in the suburbs. I need to drive. I have no choice. So for me, I enjoy it. Don't love what happened here. I think it's silly. They go out and spend millions of dollars, or, thousands of dollars on these monster, supercars that they don't know how to drive. And they try to test the limits of how fast they can go and all that. There are tracks for that. There are plenty of tracks in every area. You are in freaking Texas. I understand it. I get it. Open road, a lot of the times it's 70 plus. I get it. But there is a time and a place for all the things you did. You did it in the middle of, what was it, Dallas or Houston, or one of the big major cities. You're deciding to go down one of their. No, Ridiculous. Absolutely absurd. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. Go do that somewhere else. I went to Vegas, drove a Nissan Skyline at 140 miles an hour on a track. Do that.
Yeah.
Go take your supercar to, you guys can do whatever you want. You guys have money. You guys have the availability to go. You have fame. You can go do something. I mean, if you watched Hard Knocks, Deion Dawkins, able to go and enjoy, drifting in his on his property. That's fine. Go enjoy. But don't do it on the main highway. Don't do it with people. It's stupid.
Yeah, no, there was absolutely no excuse for what Rashi Rice and his friends did on that Texas highway. I mean, it's
horrible.
I don't want to chalk it up to as simple as just young people making bad decisions, but that absolutely is a part of it as well. Let me say something else too, as far as NFL goes and their hypocrisy. I said this on Blue Sky earlier today. There's a story that came out yesterday on ESPN how they're going to restore their social justice messaging, such as you love and
racism
and racism and things like that. But then you turn around and then you're all of a sudden you find the evidence to dismiss the evidence against guys like Isaiah Bond and Quinshawn Judkins, and the Browns go and re-sign Isaiah Bond after Deshaun Watson scandal.
If
you're a Browns fan, you have to be done with this team because they clearly don't give a damn about what's right.
No, and they want to go spend a ridiculous amount of money on a new stadium that can't really even. I wouldn't say they can't afford it, but I've been there. I've been to Cleveland. I've seen the stadium. I have been across. I don't know how they're going to build this monstrosity that they think they're going to build.
They actually had a permit denied by the transit board.
I heard about that.
Yeah, I can't remember which organization did it, but
it doesn't matter because they have an airport more than 10 feet away from it, and then they also have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame no more than a stone's throw away, and on top of that, they have a barge that's right on the other side of the south or north side. I forgot which side, but they have water on each side of the field.
Right.
How are they going to do this?
Well, so they have two choices at this point. They can either appeal the decision, the decision, or just change the design of the stadium, which is likely what they're going to have to do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's the crazy part is that I look at these things and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. The Browns have always, they've never been this bad. Like I remember I don't know. Well, no, I was going to say that was the Bengals at one point. I remember the Bengals had like a really bad rap when they had like Vontaze Burfict and they had a few other guys that were really Pac-Man Jones when he came in. Like they were like 1 year, let's grab all the bad guys. Like Dallas does it once in a while. Like they all have their little nuances and I get it. But this is a little over the top. You have 3 guys that have committed some type of sexual assault in one way, or domestic and/or sexual assault. Come on.
I understand that the Browns need help at wide receiver, but
you can find something.
But let's be honest, the Browns are not going to pass the football that much this year. They're going to have to run the football because 1, their quarterback situation stinks. 2, Jerry Jeudy is overrated, and they're going to have to overfeed him for the talent that he brings. He was not that good of a first-round pick by the Broncos. And their other wide receiver, I don't think it's going to be Deontay Johnson. It's probably going to have to go to Cedric Tillman, who I don't even think is that good. He was another force-fed guy. And they're going to have to rely on David Njoku if he even stays healthy.
Agreed. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season with the Browns. So let's see what Riders has to say. He says, did you find everyone you needed for the drafts tonight? We did. The only one that we didn't find is for 10 o'clock. I think we're still looking for one person, but we're trying to get people that were in the 4th spot. So just keep an eye out. Reach out to Kendall on the Discord. He will help with that scenario and getting it. Worst case, I'll jump in or we have Evan. It doesn't really matter. We got somebody here for one spot. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I'll take it if we need.
Yeah. So we got Aiden White going. How do we feel about Loveland going 4 whole rounds after Warren? Interesting.
If I'm not mistaken, tight ends don't really matter as much in this format, right?
No, because we're not doing tight end premium, but it's just I think he's more along the lines of how can Warren go at 9 and Loveland go at 13. I can understand that to an extent. I am not a fan of either. I'm not drafting either of them, to be quite honest. I am not a big fan of the tight end that is drafted in the first round. especially where they went. It's never been my thing. History has shown that the tight end being drafted in the first round is just, it's not conducive to doing well in the first year. Now, Brock Bowers is a rare exception to the rule. So was Evan Ingram. So was, I think that's it. I mean, you can maybe say Kyle Pitts his first year, but he was technically tight end like 6. So we're not going to put him in that category. So I'm not really, to me, their ceiling is tight end 6. Like, and that's even being generous. I don't think they're in the top 10. Warren's situation is ridiculous. You have to deal with either A-Rich or Daniel Jones. I've seen Daniel Jones play. I think he'll get the start. I don't know if it's going to do well for a guy like Tyler Warren. Loveland is another, I don't know. Everyone wants him to be Sam Laporta because of Ben Johnson. I just don't see it. I understand it, but I don't see it.
Let me just say this too, Mike. I think the ADP is all kinds of messed up because we are now in an era where people in redraft leagues are now acting like Dynasty rookie guys and best ball guys, where rookies are going just way too high in ADP. They're being overvalued just because people don't like the dead zone. They're looking for the shiny new toys that they can get, hoping to get a leg up on the competition, trying to win their leagues at the draft. But the one thing we have to remember about a redraft format, you're not trying to win your league at the draft. This is not best ball. You don't have to worry about that part. You can always play the waiver wire as the season goes on, if this was going to be a real league, of course. But Colston Loveland, I would not be surprised if it takes a while for him to reach his full potential because he is still sharing the tight end space with Cole Kmet. I am still expecting. I mean, I don't know what the Bears still plan on doing with Cole Kmet. I thought by draft night he was going to get traded, but it looks like they're going to just go out the rest of the year with Cole Kmet and then probably let him go in free agency, which I think would be an absolute sham. He's got amazing hands, but Colston Loveland is also looking amazing at training camp. So first round draft pick, I think, is going to look good, but I don't think you have to reach on a Colston Loveland or even a Tyler Warren for that matter. As talented as the both of them are, these are more or less like dynasty bench holds for year 2 or year 3.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's not someone that I'm looking to grab. I would have much rather have Laporta or Ingram over Warren. I'd rather go with somebody that I know is going to do well in a system. Evan Ingram going with Sean Payton, I am almost guaranteeing he has a great season this year. Sam Laporta staying where he is, knowing, Jared Goff. Yeah, he might take a down tick because of the concept that Ben Johnson isn't there calling the plays, but it doesn't mean he's not going to be involved. I know he's dealing with some type of ghost injury that no one's been able to, talk about. He's going to be fine. He'll start day 1.
Yeah.
Even the joke who went after Warren, which doesn't make any sense to me. Andrews went after Warren. I understand that Ralph might be really like Warren, but unfortunately to me, that's just not conducive to helping your scenario with the tight end position. You're pretty much at this point, you left yourself at a disadvantage with that. There are almost everybody on this list that I probably would have went with other than Tyler Warren at this point.
Yeah, I don't think you had to. Yeah, if this was a real league, I don't think, like I said, I don't think you have to reach on a Tyler Warren at the 9-9. I would have much rather had other tight ends over him. But even then, I'm still a little bullish on Hawkinson and Kelsey because,
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, both of them have struggled to fit in with their respective offenses. Where with the Minnesota Vikings, now he's got a brand new Hawkinson, and now has a brand new quarterback with JJ McCarthy. Sam Darnold didn't get to play with Hawk the whole season because Hawk got hurt. But now it's going to be a whole different story for the Vikings offense. I mean, I don't think Hawk is going to suck necessarily, but I think he's still a top 15 guy. Travis Kelce is in a bland vanilla offense run by Matt Nagy, the former head coach of the Chicago Bears, where the only things that he's good at calling are running back draw plays and wide receiver flat routes. Kelce will be fine with Mahomes throwing to him, but Kelce is still in his mid-30s now. You can tell with all the years of mileage on him, he's starting to lose a step or two. He can run his routes well still, but he's not the same Kelce he was 10 years ago.
No.
I think this is going to be somebody that I'm not going to be picking as high as I used to. Now, if this were a format where people value tight ends normally, I would be very surprised to see these two go by round 9, because in normal redraft mocks that are not super flex, those guys are usually in like round 5 or 6.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, Kelsey has even come out and admitted he was not himself last year. A lot of the new life, if you will, with his sweetheart is what's really it's been part of what he's been, going through. So for me, Kelsey, somebody I don't mind grabbing where they did in the 9th. So I'll take that all day in certain situations. Ralph said verse Warren. He was talking about Laporta injured with the drop off with the offense. He's not going to drop off as much as people think he is. You have to remember, Ben Johnson was only a very small part of the particular situation. Jared Goff trusts him, uses him in the red zone. There's going to not be a huge change because Dan Campbell will make sure of that. And he was saying it's going to be the first read.
Yeah, no, Laporta absolutely did not fall off that much last season versus his rookie year 2023. The Lions showed last year that they do want to get the ball in the hands of more wide receivers. They traded for they went out and got Tim Patrick for that reason too, because they wanted that solid third wide receiver for Ben. And yeah, they wanted to get Jared Goff to feed the wide receivers more. Therefore, that's why you started to see a little drop off. But Sam Laporta is still an incredible red zone target. So don't 100%. Sleep on Sam Laporta.
No, I would not at all. Sam Laporta is worth keeping an eye and, drafting in my situation. He even said people were saying the same thing about Bowers last year in the 9th. Warren could be a top 5 tight end. I don't see Warren being the same as Bowers.
I don't either.
They're not the same type of person. Now, I watched Warren in college. He's a beast. He's a big dude that doesn't mind running into people, really likes contact, but that's not a good thing either. You have to learn little nuanced things when you're in the NFL of not taking so many hits, unless you're like George Kittle, who just, is who he is. But in this case, a Tyler Warren type, I just don't see him being anywhere close to what Bowers was, Laporta was. It's just not going to happen, especially with the quarterbacks that he has. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Daniel Jones was not a big thrower to the tight end, and neither is Anthony Richardson. And that's if it gets to the tight end, because he just throws a rocket. He has no touch at all. He is not an accurate thrower. Daniel Jones is more accurate, but he just isn't good at it. Daniel Jones is not good at reading his offense in any way, shape, or form. It's not there. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and being that Tyler Warren is a much bigger guy than Brock Bowers at 6'6" and 256, big guys like him often have the biggest targets on their back.
Agreed.
You're going to see these strong safeties, these free safeties, these linebackers. They're going to be hitting Warren as hard as he can. And if Warren does not learn to avoid certain types of contact, he's going to get himself hurt out there in the NFL level. This ain't college anymore. He's going to have to learn that.
No, I agree. It's going to be something that is he's going to have to learn real quick. I'm trying to get some stats up because I want to make sure I want to contest this a little bit, because he's saying that he had better stats than Bowers versus Man in college.
I don't care.
Even if I was going to say that doesn't really matter much.
No,
it's not going to be a mismatch more than you think. And then add no one, Barrett.
Let me say, Ralph,
he had no one either.
Yeah, Ralph. Let me say this too for you, Ralph. The situation was a bit different with the Raiders versus the Colts, where the Raiders don't have wide receivers that are respectable in the slightest. It had to be Bowers. They drafted Bowers specifically for that purpose, because it's not going to be the Jacoby Myers show for that much longer. And Devontae Adams was not going to be trying that hard for the Raiders, considering that he wanted to get the hell off of the team. So they drafted Bowers specifically for that reason, where Tyler Warren is going to be surrounded by better wide receivers, not by a whole much. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, and then Alec Pierce when he feels like showing up as a deep threat. Adonai Mitchell, I don't think is going to become anything either, but this is going to be a different offense that the Colts have to deal with. And I wanted to let you, Mike, go off on Danny Dimes, because I figured you know him a hell of a lot better than I do. And you're right. He stunk trying to feed the ball to Evan Ingram beyond his rookie year.
He hasn't. He never took advantage of that. That's the thing that it never made sense to me. He never targeted the tight end while he had tight ends that were worth targeting.
Bingo.
It just doesn't make any sense. The Giants would bring in people, and he had Darren Waller at one point, and he didn't use him at all, to the point where he's just no longer there. You have to understand for one, I've watched Daniel Jones his whole career. He is not good at distributing the ball the way that people think he is. He is an accurate thrower. I will give him that. He can throw the ball accurately, but he's not good at reading the offense or understanding it. He tends to have an issue with he loves throwing that hospital ball, and he always gets scared off his first read. So anytime his first read is locked up, he's not good at going around the field and going, and then he gets happy feet. And then he just says, oh, I'm going to run the ball. I'm sorry. It's just, you have to understand that the two QBs that they have currently are not going to be what you think they might be. All those highlight training camp videos where you get to see, A.D. Mitchell in the back catching the ball. Hey, man, I can't wait for A.D. Mitchell to do well. But guess what? I don't see it happening yet. I can't see in a world that this team is going to go, Daniel Jones, win us a championship. No, they're going to hand the ball off to their two wonderful backs that they have, that they just paid, and they're going to have Jonathan Taylor and DJ Jenkins just run the freaking ball, and that's all that's going to happen.
I think you meant TJ Giddens. Sorry,
that's what I meant. They also lost a big, and I'm not talking about like I lost a lineman. They lost a Pro Bowl center. Do you understand? They lost Ryan Kelly, who is, and combined with Quentin Nelson, is probably one of the best interior duos out there. So why do you think he's going to have time in the pocket? Do you think he has a better line than the Giants currently have now? I will laugh hysterically, because the Giants line now is way better than what the Colts are now. People keep thinking the Colts are like 5 years ago when they were good.
Now, I mean, this is under the assumption that Daniel Jones is going to win the starting job in week one, where being that the offensive line is as bad as it is, I don't see why they don't go with A-Rich. He's got the legs.
Yeah, but that's even more my point. Then you get A-Rich, who can't do it either. A-Rich is not one to do well either. He has no accuracy with his throwing. He loves throwing downfield, so guys like Pittman and A.D. Mitchell will do better, but not a guy like Tyler Warren, because he can't check down. That's his problem. He's a hero player that can't throw and check down. If he played with a guy like Russ, if you played a guy like Rodgers, if you played with guys like that who love to check down and live in the intermediate route, I would have no problem with telling you that this year that Tyler Warren's going to be a top 3. He's not going to be anywhere close to the top 5. He will be outside the top 10 or right on it.
Let me add this about the Indianapolis Colts as well. So, rest in peace, Jim Irsay. First of all, I never liked. Yeah. I never liked the guy. I always thought he was a bit of a schmuck. But then again, a lot of Colts fans love the guy based off of how nice he's been to the players and whatever. But that's kind of beside the point. Agreed. The Indianapolis Colts have a culture. No pun intended. Sorry, I like my dad jokes. Culture. They do not have a culture that's good, as far as something that the Raiders don't even have, where when you have guys like Anthony Richardson taking a drive off because he was tired and needed a break.
Oh my God, that was ridiculous.
Your starting quarterback should never do this in the NFL ever. I have never actually heard of that.
I've never heard of that.
So when you have this happening, you have a problem with your entire organization, which is how, with all the talent the Colts had, they still went 7-9 actually 7-10 at best. And I don't think the Colts are in for a good run. They're going to be in some painful rebuilding years. I don't think they're going to have the worst record in the league, but I also think that's not necessarily going to hurt Tyler Warren being in a potentially elite tight end. But this is not the year to expect a top 10 season out of him.
No. And that's the point. We're talking about redraft. We're not talking about Dynasty. Dynasty, I have a different opinion about Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. I have no problem drafting those two in a different, I probably wouldn't be targeting him till probably the end of the second, early third. In rookie drafts, for me, I rather see if they fall to me comparatively to grabbing them early in the second. I can't justify a second round pick like that unless they drop.
Can I say something about Aiden White's comment about tight end feeling a lot deeper now than it has when it used to be seemingly just be Kelsey, Kittles, and Andrews?
No,
No, it's the other one before that.
that one. There.
Yeah, so the one thing I want to say about that as well is that every year over the last 10 years, it's usually the 10 tight ends, 10, that average 10 fantasy points or more per game. So that has not really changed that much over the years. One years you might have 9, other years you have 10. You can absolutely expect 10 tight ends to average 10 fantasy points per game or more, and then the rest go down like 9, 8, 7, 6, and you don't really care for tight end 11 or beyond that, just because the position is just not thrown to as much because, well, there's only one versus 2 or 3 wide receivers.
Agreed.
Now, that being said, that's why you see the illusion, because the name value is better than it used to be.
Agreed. And, tight end is a little shallow, or not shallow, a little deeper than normal, just because of the usage of a lot of other guys that, weren't there before, like you were saying. The Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Kittle, those guys are going to be there. The other guys that are kind of coming up, the Tyler, what was it? Tucker. I always say Tyler. Tucker Kraft, coming up. Kyle Pitts, who fell off, who is now coming back. You have guys like Jake Ferguson, who's right on the cusp. You have Evan Ingram, who's a little older but still can play. Even guys like Zach Ertz, who can still catch the ball and still do his thing. There are a lot of guys that I rather have later in drafts. I don't feel like reaching up. Guys that end up reaching for like the Bowers and Trey McBrides of the world. Good luck to you. It's a bold strategy. I have no problem with it. I'm not going to knock people for it. But I'd rather, when I'm looking at this list of people and seeing that I could have had Drake London, Nico Collins, BTJ, Henry Genty, McCaffrey, any of these guys over Bowers, I would have wanted that more than the others. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense where I could have a team with those guys and then have a guy like Kraft, have a guy like Hawkinson, have a guy like even Mason Taylor, who's been getting a ton of news and was drafted way later. These later tight ends tend to do better early just because of the concept that no one knows who they are and they don't realize how good they are at blocking, which keeps them on the field, which keeps them involved. That's another thing that people need to understand, is that you might want to have a blocking tight end that, does well. So we'll have to wait and see.
Breaking Ball mentioned Tucker here just because you mentioned Tucker Kraft. I think Tucker Kraft is not necessarily going to do better than tight end 7 in PPR. Or actually, I'm sorry, tight end 10. The comment is second newest, I think. But anyway, so Tucker Kraft, I think, is going to be the top Packers pass catcher. I don't think it's going to be Matthew Golden necessarily, because the Packers have just struggled to find their top wide receiver, with Jordan Love being very I shouldn't say careless. He's just been very bad with taking care of the football so far in his career. And the Packers are basically the NFC version of the Buffalo Bills. They don't have a true number 1, and they're just trying to get the ball in the hands of anybody who can actually catch.
They were 20. What is this? I got to count. I think they were 20th to passing to the tight end last year overall, and they were second in running the ball. They were also last in passing to the wide receiver. One of those things to me where they're focused on running the ball and playing defense, and they haven't always been like that, but they have the team to do that. They're going to do that. It's just what they're going to do. I have no doubt. Hold on one sec. So we're just trying to get this next mock settled. We have a couple of people that need to jump in and jump out. So we're just trying to get this thing settled. I want to say
one more thing about Tucker Kraft, though. Despite the fact that Tucker Kraft finished as the tight end 7, That was because he did a lot with 50 catches and 7 touchdowns because he's a good red zone target. He was not top 10 for targets total out of the tight end position. He's not even top 10. He's not even top 20. He was tied with Chigo Okonkwo with 70.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not as high on Tucker Kraft this year. So that's why I'm saying slow your roll if you're high on him.
Understood. He really did well because of his touchdown acumen, where he was able to get the long pass and able to get touchdowns like that comparatively to, getting the ball consistently, which is what a lot of which others did. I mean, he was tight end 10 last year. Having him get to 7, he needs to increase his. I mean, he had 97 targets total last season, which is. What is that?
Who had 97?
He had 97 Tucker Kraft.
He did not. He had 70.
Oh, he had 70. You're right. Who did I think had 97?
97 was tied between David Njoku
Oh,
and
no, that
Hunter
was
Henry.
Njoku. You're right. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Why am I looking at that? Anyway, he only got he barely got to the 700 mark. He's got his, 7 touchdowns. Could he do the 7 again? Yeah. And then it's trying to see what else he can do. I mean, it's barely going to put him in the top 10 if he gets anywhere. And any way that you slice it, the fact that Kelsey was tight end 3, even with a bad season, he had a horrible season. Let's just be fair. He did.
Horrible for him.
Kind of my point. It just wasn't a great season, even though he had 133 targets, 79 or 97 yards, or 97 receptions. He was still top 3. If you look at the whole rest from top 3 down, Jonnu Smith, or no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. That was in targets.
Total targets, he was 3rd. Yes.
I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. He
You're
was tight end 5. So even after tight end 5, and the fact that Jonnu Smith is tight end 4 makes no damn sense to me.
Well, Tua liked him.
Well, that's about it. They never liked a tight end prior to that. They were always a non-tight end team. Always. Anyway.
Gesicki couldn't even save him.
I know. See, that's what it kills me, because Gesicki is a great, one of the most athletic tight ends that they've had, and they don't even use him. They have Jonnu Smith, of all people, who ends up doing well in that system. I have no idea why. Anyway, Mark Andrews came back from the dead, was 6th. Zach Ertz was 7th. Laporta did, regressed, went to 8. Then you have Pat Freiermuth, then Tucker Kraft, then Njoku. You notice how a lot of people are talking about these guys in that particular realm because they have a better ability to be in that top 5 than any of the other guys that we can even mention. So
it's also worth noting that Tucker Kraft was not just a short possession guy either. He averaged over 10 yards per target.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
he was their first down guy because the wide receivers were lacking so much.
Yeah, he's 14 yards. It was 14 yards. Is it 4? Yeah, it was 14 yards a catch. Ridiculous.
Oh yeah, so he would get 4 after the catch. Yeah, so he had to be that guy. So I don't know if Matthew Golden changes that.
I don't think so. I'm not sold on Golden. I'm not sold on Love. I'm not sold on the Packers offense in general or their particular passing offense. So we're going to have to wait and see. I am currently trying to get these guys at the 10 o'clock ready to go. So I am trying to do double duty here. I know Kendall can't because I'm the one currently running everything. I'm doing double duty tonight. So I'm sorry for those that are around. I know Vince. Let me see. I think Vince said that he needed to jump out. Let me just double check real quick.
Vince Mapstone, my favorite Aussie.
Yes. Love Vince, man. Love having him here. I'm so happy that we, are able to be a part of his life because, him being in Australia it's funny.
I want to go to Australia. Vince, if you're listening, fly me down someday. I want to come visit.
Let's see if it doesn't auto. Okay. All right. So let me get this thing started. And then we'll go from there.
Round 2, I get to judge.
Yeah. So don't worry, guys. We're going to, we'll try to talk about this one in a little bit. But let's move on. I'm going to stop sharing this one. We're going to start sharing the other one. Give me one sec to kind of move my boards around and stuff. I got to like I said, producing on my own today, ladies and gentlemen. So just give me 1 second to understand it.
I'm trying to manifest it on next to us here.
Yeah, there you go. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I have it. I work pretty quick when I'm under pressure here. So let me get this thing going. We got everybody in the chat. I just want to make sure my chat is good so that I can get everybody in there. Okay, let me bring this over here. Lots of things going on. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get this chat going so that I can talk to people and make sure everybody's happy. All right, let's go. Everyone's giving me that winky face. All right, fine. All right, everybody's giving me the what's going on. All right. And here we go. All right. So we are off on the next one. So, all right. I don't know if we can say enough about tight ends. That's probably my bread and butter here. But Jay Money goes, funny statement by the Falcons made at a press conference. They say that they're going to get Kyle Pitts more involved. They say it every year. He's terrible man to man. All right. Let me say, let me bring this up.
There we go.
Let me say one thing. I have been the one person that has been strongly against Kyle Pitts from the beginning. I wrote an article about how bad he was going to be in his rookie year. I wrote an article after the fact that he would do even worse after that and continue to be worse after that.
We should probably mute that.
At this point, I am pretty bullish on him this season. Now, the only difference and why I'm bullish on him is his price. He is a value pick. He is somebody that you're getting at the late end of your draft that is now working with a guy like Michael Pitts or Michael Penix. Sorry. I almost screwed that up, right? Just like the other network did. If you guys missed that, go check it out. It's hilarious. They called him Michael Penis, and I laughed.
Yes, they did.
No, it was fantastic. Oh no, Vince, don't do what I think you're gonna do.
Oh, come on,
All right.
dude.
So Vince said that he was gonna have issues. Let me see if it does it again. Because if he does, I don't want to make
drafter.
Yeah, and I can kick him and then go from there. I can always step in for him and take over for that.
So, Jay Money, I wanted to add one thing about Kyle Pitts as well. You want to hear something funny? Kyle Pitts, even though he finished as tight end 15, he had 4 more targets than Tucker Kraft last year. Figure that one out.
Yeah. I don't get that either. It's really kind of funny to me. Hold on, ladies and gents. We're going to pause. If you're watching, just give me a sec. Let me bump Vince. He was talking about it before, and I just wanted to give him the opportunity. I'm going to jump in his place if I can, and I'm going to save it, and we're going to keep on going.
All right.
So we're going to resume from there. I'll take the team that I'm given. That's fine.
Hey, you got 2 stud running backs. What's wrong with that, right?
I can't go wrong here, right? Let's just keep this one moving. It's okay. Anyway, my whole thing with Kyle Pitts is his price. I love that he's with Michael Penix. I think Michael Penix and him have a good relationship to the point where that they are doing well in camp. You see it in camp. You see the highlights. You see the little bit of, how he is. Yes, he has to stay healthy. Yes, he has to do all these other things. But I'm not looking for him to be tight end 3. I'm looking for him to just do well. I want consistency. I want him to do something where I can be happy with at least 80 to 90 targets or more, and having him he only had 47 catches last year. I want him to have in the 70s. So I'm not looking to I'm not smashing him as my only tight end. I want him as somebody else.
Yeah, no, and here's something else funny about Kyle Pitts too. His red zone usage is not as valuable as we would like it to be. Rookie year, 1 touchdown. Sophomore year, 2 touchdowns. Third year, 3 touchdowns. Last year, 4 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns this year for Kyle Pitts. Book it.
I like it. I like it. I like the little fun things that we can find like that. So Jay says Kyle Pitts I see on the waivers every year for bye weeks. He never stays on a team, but yeah, he can get him in the last round and just hope and pray. I mean, honestly, that's the whole point. Is he's a dart throw, and he's one of those guys that I feel comfortable with in drafts. That if you want to have a guy that's your tight end 2, like if you get so I'll give an example. If you get a guy like Trey McBride, I have no problem picking up Kyle Pitts in the later round because I then feel like I solidified that particular position late.
So yeah, Kyle Pitts in ADP for PPR formats is tight end 15 behind Tucker Kraft. I think based off of the volume that he got last year, I think that ADP is fine. I don't go off of ADP. I say fuck ADP any chance I get, but I think he's fairly priced for what he has offered in 4 seasons so far. I don't think he's going to be a toxic tight end 2 if you have 2 tight end slots for some reason in your league, but he's definitely going to be like what Jay Money just said. I think he's just going to be a waiver wire pickup for when your starting tight end goes on bye.
Yeah. 100%. And honestly, I've never been for him, but this year there's something about it that makes me feel a little bit better about it. I think it's the quarterback. I have a better feeling about Penix than most. I'm a little higher on him than most, to be quite fair, but I'm also a little bit more invested in the Falcons this year as a whole. So
what makes you say that?
I don't know. From what I saw in the few games with him last season, I felt he moved the offense a lot better. I thought that he had a better control of everything in general. Yeah, he's going to make rookie mistakes. It's part of the gig. But in year 2, he's got, he's the man. You got to remember in the beginning, they told Kirk Cousins, you're running the show until further notice. And then he started failing, and then they threw in Mike Penix, and he wasn't, he has a strong arm. He has a good mind for the game. He's not one to run the ball too much, but he knows he can when he needs to. He's able to spread the ball out. He has good vision, and I like what he could do with this offense. So we'll wait, and the fact that they have Bijan takes so much away, where they're not crowding or they have to respect everything. I even if they were to pull more guys into the box for Bijan, that leaves him more room to throw and be able to do things. I feel comfortable with him this year. Now, a lot of people don't like him as a QB1. I probably wouldn't either, but if it's in a super flex format, I'm okay with him being my QB2 and being that secondary guy that I can rely on once in a while. And, if I see an uptick, then I'm happy. So I like him in that type of scenario.
Hey, Mike, we should probably mute the sound effects on the sleeper board just so that it's
my
not
bad.
Constantly, yeah.
Oh, I don't hear it. So for me, I'm sorry. I apologize for everybody else.
No worries. So Michael Penix Jr. is a quarterback 2 until further notice. There's no reason to treat this guy any better than he is. He is a pure pocket passer, which in the NFL, that's still fine in today's NFL, but I just don't believe the Falcons have the offensive line to support such a thing because they just lost their starting center, Dahlman. So thank you, by the way, Falcons. We love Dahlman at center. But anyway, yeah, I don't believe the Falcons are going to have an adequate replacement for Dahlman at center. I don't think the offensive line is good. They're going to have to rely on Bijan to do a lot of work the way Saquon did for your Giants during his tenure. Agreed. And the wide receivers, I like Drake London. I don't like Darnell Mooney that much. I don't like Ray McLeod that much outside of special teams. And they just don't really have anybody else that's strong outside of London and Kyle Pitts, as weird as it is to say that, because people don't like Pitts because he never turned out to be a top 10 tight end consistently. But Kyle Pitts is still the second target in that offense until I see otherwise. I don't believe Darnell Mooney's going to last that much longer on this Falcon team. I never believed he was really that good, despite the fact that he did get 106 targets last year.
Interesting. I've always been a fan of Darnell Mooney. He's a he's an incredible route runner and really good separator.
That's all he's good for.
Well, he never got a good rap because he was always with Justin Fields, who I just never thought was I've never I mean, if you're watching his practice tape recently, he's not really a great thrower of the ball and ran the ball a ton, and they never used him correctly in Chicago. That's the key. They never used him correctly in Chicago, but Justin Fields, he absolutely can throw the ball. It's just he's not Caleb Williams when it comes to throwing the football. That's the thing. I mean, from what I've seen recently, they're probably the same person. I don't know if you saw any of the highlight tapes from the Giants and the Jets practice the other day. He pretty much missed every pass thrown. It was pretty incredible to watch. Not gonna lie.
I'm not that worried about it right now. If this is the time of year to make your mistakes.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't hang on those things, but I look at it and I'm like, I've never been a fan of Justin Fields in general. If you look at the numbers, Daniel Jones's numbers are actually a little better. And if you take away the rushing aspect of him or even cut down half of it, the numbers just go in Daniel Jones's favor, and it's scary that that's the case.
Here's the thing about Justin Fields that I think a lot of people are missing. So Justin Fields, the former general manager for the Chicago Bears was Ryan Pace. We have Ryan Poles right now. Ryan Pace was the previous GM for the Bears. The Mitchell Trubisky pick failed miserably because they treated this guy like crap when they expected this guy to be a pocket presence game manager, but that's not his style. He has to roll out and throw. They ruined Trubisky. They let him walk. They let him go sign with the Bills to be Allen's backup. And then they drafted Justin Fields as the Hail Mary, save my ass type of pick, where that also didn't work out because they didn't give Justin Fields anything they needed to succeed. And they didn't even give him the right coaching either. You know, they gave him Matt Nagy, who stunk. And then they gave him Matt Eberflus, that I don't want to get into another Eberflus rant because I'm tired of that guy. And Justin Fields was also put in a position not to succeed when Luke Getsy is your offensive coordinator. Raiders fans know this. He's not a good OC, period.
We're going to have to wait and see how it goes. I think Ben Johnson's going to be running that offense anyway.
He doesn't need any offensive coordinator anyway, Ben Johnson. He's got DeClan as his offensive coordinator, who I think is probably just going to do like secondary duties behind Johnson. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. Go ahead.
No, that's my whole point. I mean, both offenses are going to be, right now, the Jets, when Hackett didn't stay there, right? I don't think
Nathaniel Hackett did not stay there, and that's also why I'm glad to keep the shares of Garrett Wilson that Duarte5656 got as his first wide receiver. Garrett Wilson quietly had a wide receiver 10 season with Aaron Rodgers, despite all the chaos. Justin Fields is going to be feeding Wilson very healthy this year, and I think Garrett Wilson will prove that he definitely belongs in the wide receiver 10 conversation. Does he come back to it? I don't know, but at least he's a top 20 wide receiver at worst.
See, and that's where, so this is where we can have a fun conversation. So, like I said, I'm not big on Fields. To me, he's one of those types of players that can't throw the ball, can run it. My whole thing is, yes, he played with Garrett Wilson in college. They did well in college. They had great years in college. They are now currently with probably their group that they had in college at one point. For most of those people, but at the end of the day, he's not the best thrower of the ball. Aaron Rodgers, for his credit, even being older, still supported two top 2,000-yard wide receivers. Justin Fields has never thrown for more than 3,000 in his career.
He hasn't had the talent to do it either.
Well, and that's fair to that. But even with the talent that he had, which is one of the guys that I just picked, and the second guy that I'm going to, I should have went Cortland Sutton. I'm mad at myself. But it's okay. The whole point I'm trying to make is that he had some pieces around him. They went and got DJ Moore for him. They tried making that work. It didn't work. They had Darryl Mooney. Didn't work. They had Colt Kmet there, worked for a minute, but they didn't really do anything. They didn't help the line. They didn't do anything to help him. So I understand that. Jets aren't in that position either. Their line isn't that great. They have a couple of pieces that could work, but at the end of the day, they don't have anybody else but Garrett Wilson. So they have Josh Reynolds and Corley, who isn't doing anything in camp. They actually are like, what the hell is going on here? They have Alan Lazard that's hurt on IR. The only person they can throw to is him and Mason Taylor. And that's why Mason Taylor is getting all the hype, because he's the only one they can throw to. So I'm a little nervous about Garrett Wilson because of Justin Fields, but at the same time, I see all the positive things and that there's no one else there, that he's a good, he's a elite wide receiver. But then I see a guy like Fields throwing him the ball, and it makes every thought process in my head go down, because I've always viewed things as quality of target. So I don't know if you've ever seen it that way, but for me, quality of target means a lot. If I'm getting a
can I ease your mind? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go for it. No, I want you to try, because it's hard at this point for me to do that. But go ahead.
So, DJ Moore, when he was brought into the Chicago Bears in Justin Fields' last season with the Bears, DJ Moore finished as the wide receiver 6, 136 targets, 96 of them caught, 1,364 yards, 10 yards per target, 14 yards after the per catch, and 8 touchdowns, and that was better than he's ever done with the Carolina Panthers. So, if we're going to be hating on Fields, well, not hating, but at least bullish on Fields because we don't like him as much as other quarterbacks, don't, because he will absolutely feed Garrett Wilson just as well. Garrett Wilson doesn't have all the, I mean, he doesn't have the exact same skill set as DJ Moore, but Garrett Wilson is also a guy that I see as a do-it-all wide receiver like DJ Moore can do. So I don't see why Garrett Wilson doesn't have a top 10 wide receiver season like DJ Moore did 2 years ago.
Fair enough. I mean, he's that pick that I don't know what to do with anymore. I don't know whether to just pivot. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of happy that Duarte took him so that I didn't have to. It put me in a position where I could move and pivot to another thing to be able to get a guy like DJ Moore and make him my wide receiver 1. Now, I don't feel comfortable with it in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to say that right now. But
I got to give some props to Philadelphia, though, because he got Justin Fields as his quarterback 2. Behind Jalen Hurts, that is exactly where you want Justin Fields, grabbing him in the 6th round like that. Bravo, good sir.
Yeah, I honestly, but that's fine. For him to be that way because of his legs, I get it. I understand what boosts him up a little bit. If he didn't have that, or he gets hurt, or something happens where he can't run, he cannot rely on his arm, and that's the problem. That's the only thing that I don't like about Hurts and the field stack for the QBs, is that they both suck at throwing the ball and they can only run it, and they all rely on their rushing. And just
saying they suck at throwing the ball is kind of a stretch.
Okay. Suck might be the wrong word, but they are less talented at throwing than they are at running the ball. And it's one of those things where I understand rushing is king in fantasy, especially for the QB, and I get it. I am classic for a reason. I like my pocket passer. I like my QB to be the 5,000 yard per season, 40 touchdown guy. It just works, and it feels better to me at the end of the day, because I can make my roster work for that particular scenario. So right here, I have to make a very tough decision. I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go. Do I go with the wide receiver? Do I go with my running back? I have 2 guys that I really like at running back. I think I'm going to go DeAndre Swift here, because I know that I'm investing a little much into the Bears offense, but I do like what Swift can do for this particular team. And then it's trying to figure out what wide receiver I want at 3. Jordan Addison, Jerry Jeudy. I'm not a big fan of any of these guys right here. Chris Godwin, I'm staying away like the plague. I do like Jacoby Myers a little bit. I do think that Geno can really be helpful with him. Oh, I only have like 2 seconds. So I'm going to go with Jordan Addison, because the difference between the two, which is fantastic, is that we know he's only going to be out for 3 games. And that's better than not knowing what Rashee Rice is going to have happen after the fact. So
I love DeAndre Swift as a running back 3 in a format like this, because
Agreed.
Swift is just going to be a short-term option the Bears are going to roll with in the meantime, because they definitely wanted to get Ashton Genty, but my belief is that the Raiders were asking too much to trade up in the draft, 100%. So the Bears just had to pivot and then get a Colston Loveland, who is definitely a Ben Johnson type of guy, as a secondary consolation prize, which is not a bad consolation prize based off of what I've seen in camp so far. But back to the running back situation, Kyle Monangai is also looking pretty good at camp so far. We will have to see what else he can offer behind Swift, because Roschon Johnson ain't it, Chief. I like him on a goal line thing, but Roschon Johnson was looking really good at Texas as Bijan's back up in college, but none of the running backs on the Bears are safe after this year. I think Swift will be set free in free agency, and Roschon won't be with us much longer either. So we're hoping Monagai turns into something.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of good things. I love the tape of Eric Bellamy kind of getting in his face during I think it was OTAs. He was kind of like, hobbling like a grandma, he said, and getting in his face about it. I like that. I like that about him. And they have, don't they have Bellamy? Yeah, they have Eric Bellamy there.
Be enemy, yes.
Yeah, they've been enemy. Oh my God! I mean, that's a lot better than I thought they did.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy is the Bears' running back coach this year, and
he's the coach. That's what it
is. To have him as our running backs coach, I think is just. It's a superstar coaching staff that I can't believe we have. Yeah. I'm still rubbing my eyes, waking myself up, wondering, is this the same Bears team we've had just based off of just how mismanaged we've been for decades?
It's funny how they should have done Hard Knocks this year for them comparatively to last year when they have Caleb Williams. So, I mean, hey, it is what it is. I'm still going to watch it because it's just football. I mean, why not?
Oh, yeah.
We got John going. Fields passing TD line is 14 this year.
I don't think it's going to be that low.
Gross. Oh my God. It's just so gross. That is disgusting.
Justin Fields has, when he plays all the games, he's never had below 16 when he plays even an incomplete season. He's had 16 and 17 touchdowns in his career. I don't think 14 and a half is accurate at all. I think he'll definitely be in the, I think he'll be pushing for 20.
So you're hitting the over for that.
I'm definitely hitting the over on that. I don't buy that 14 and a half.
And that, I don't know if that's like combined or not, but if that's just passing, no, it is passing. So
it's just passing. Yeah.
That's my whole point. He hasn't thrown for over 3,000 yards. He needs to have 800 or more just to stay relevant. I mean, yes, he was a QB5 or QB6 or whatever it was.
7
a few years ago. But that was because he ran the ball for 1,000 yards. So, I mean, he has to stay in that realm to even be relevant at this point. I don't think that this offense is going to work that way. I think they need him to be more of a pocket passer and use legs when needed.
I felt so bad for Justin Fields in that 2022 season when he finished as the QB7. He had a 1,000-yard rushing season, like you pointed out. Mm-hmm. I actually attended the Thursday night game they played against the Commanders, in which that was the Darnell Mooney game, in which he could have caught that for a touchdown, but he had a bit of an effort issue that he didn't get it in when he really should have to try and tie the game to send it to overtime. But that was not Fields' fault. And the offensive line was so atrocious that Fields had to take off and run for his life just because his first read was never open. He had no second read. He had no third read. Cole Kmet isn't as great as getting open as I wish he was because he's got amazing hands. So when you don't surround Fields with weapons, I see why that the passing line right now is 14 and a half. Yeah, but I'm still taking the over. I don't care.
Okay, fair enough. I can't see it. And that's what scares me with Garrett Wilson too. So I'm just nervous in general. I don't know what realm it can be that he can just feed him that much to make him what he has been in the past. So it's going to be fun to see what happens. Jay Money says, I think the Jets have the easiest schedule. It might work out for Wilson, but if Wilson were to miss the season because of injury, Fields would be useless. Jets are dumb to trade Hall, which is another, rumor that he might be, gone by the trade deadline, which right now that's his biggest bugaboo is the concept that, he could be in a three-headed monster and running with Braylon Allen and Nate Davis. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be more of a 60-40 split.
No. But let me ask you something though. I mean, I know you're a Giants fan, but you definitely pay attention.
I still follow the Jets.
Yeah, you still pay attention to the Jets. Why are we acting like Breece Hall sucks?
I don't.
I don't get it because Breece Hall is an elite running back who's 100%. In an offense that is not supporting him as well as they could. 100%. I like the coaches that Aaron and Glenn brought over with him. Their offensive coordinator actually used to work with Jim Harbaugh at San Diego University. And being that they love to run the football with Jim Harbaugh, I really like that for Brees. I think that could be very beneficial for his production. Now, I think a lot of people are overrating Braylon Allen because he started off really strong in his rookie year, but then by like week 6 is when he came back. I'm sorry, week 5 is when he came down to earth, and that's when he started really not being efficient anymore with the limited carries he was getting. What is all this that they're saying 3-headed monster? Are we acting like Isaiah Davis is all of a sudden going to be a great running back too? Because he's not shown me that at all.
It's just the concept that he's going to eat into it, I think, is what they were, trying to talk about. Yeah, a 3-headed monster. It's really just because they use him. I mean, he's more of the pass catching back out of all of them. Braylon Allen's more of a thumper. So, and he has good legs and he's fast. So for me, I think that a lot of people are I think people are scared of Braylon Allen taking from Brees more than Nate Davis. And that's why I said it might be a 60-40 split here. Where they might involve him a little bit to but not in a bad way, though. If you remember what they did with Mixon a few years ago, where they kind of took his production back a little bit by, taking it, when they took it back, it saved him in the long run with health.
Okay, but here's the thing with Joe Mixon as well. Mixon is not doing what Brees Hall has shown he can do in his career as well. Joe Mixon is not a good pass catcher. He's not a good blocker. Brees Hall can definitely do both of those things that Joe Mixon cannot do.
I 100% agree with that. My point is that I'm just using Joe Mixon as an example of what they were, the thought process involved. The 60-40, the 60 might be more than, or like the Christian McCaffrey type situation where they're like 60-40, where they want to try to take a little bit off of him and have that really good back behind him, or what the Giant, everyone's tried to do it. There is no workhorse anymore. There is no Derrick Henry in the world anymore because it's just not conducive to the way the game is played anymore. And it's sad. I love the bell cow back. I've been a fan of the bell cow back forever. It is probably one of my favorite things. Like Derrick Henry is probably one of my favorite that has been out there for the last few years that I have just enjoyed immensely. Hold on.
So I have a question for you as well, Mike, as you're making these next couple of picks. Saquon Barkley was the only person to get 300 rushing attempts, and Bijan got 290. Does Bijan get to 300, or does Saquon get to 300 again? And do we see anybody else flirt with 300 like a Jonathan Taylor? Because I think Taylor could get to 300.
I think Taylor could. Jacobs did last year.
No, he didn't. 269.
Am I really? I'm looking at 24 attempts.
Oh, wait a second.
I was going to say, we're looking at attempts.
Hold on a second.
We had like 5 guys get in there. We had Kyron, Jacobs, Henry, Bijan, and Saquon. Saquon was at 350, almost 345.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I was looking at the wrong columns.
I was right.
So we've had multiple running backs go 300, where we're talking about the bell cow role is not that plentiful anymore, like a Derrick Henry. But I mean, Mike, I think I have to softly disagree with you on that one. Yes, we're not seeing the Emmitt Smiths anymore. We're not putting all of our eggs in one running back anymore. But there are certain guys that have to run the football because the passing is difficult for a lot of teams like the Packers, the Colts, the Falcons, and even the Rams are starting to find their struggles with passing the football. And I'm not sure I want to get into the Matthew Stafford panic right now. I mean, unless you want to, I'll let you go ahead.
But... I mean, no, we can. I honestly, it's a little nerve-wracking. Anybody that's had any type of back issues in their life understands in one way or another that this is going to be something that affects him in the long term. He's been dealing with back issues from day one. I remember he played 1 year with a broken back. I remember he's played through multiple injuries with his back in one way or another.
For at least 10 years.
So he's considered an Iron Man. Like, he is somebody that has played through these injuries. The fact that it's bothering him this much leading up to the season, where he hasn't really had the chance to ramp up or do anything in the preseason. I mean, this is kind of normal. I mean, most of these vets, they kind of do everything they can to not play until, day one. Give the rookies a chance, give everybody else a chance to kind of get used to it. And then they come out day one and they're fine. I'm a little nervous about it, But I think what's going to end up happening is that they just signed Kyron Williams. They have Blake Corum. I think they're going to do what they can to keep the pressure off of Matthew Stafford as much as possible and try to limit, but not take away from, if that makes sense. They want to get him in, they want him to be upright, which means play action, keeping him, just running the ball to open the pass, if you will. So I'm a little nervous, but I think that it will work out in the long run. What about you?
I think Stafford is playing until Sean McVay says he's not. I think that this is just typical preseason management we've seen out of Matthew Stafford for at least the last 3 seasons. He's going to be fine, ladies and gentlemen, until we hear otherwise. So slow your roll on the panic and just and plan on, don't fade Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams because, oh my God, we might get Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, woe is us. No. Play your studs, draft Puka if he falls your way. Take advantage of the people who get scared.
Fair enough. I agree with you there.
By the way, sorry, I have to point out, Earl drafted Puka Nacua at the 301. Are you guys kidding me? That's insane. How does he fall that low?
Yeah. I mean, I had no choice here. I had the Barkley Genty scenario, and I had no choice. But I don't think I would have let him fall. Honestly, I wouldn't have let Brian Thomas Jr. fall or St. Brown fall that far. So,
I need to bring up something else important too, Mike. I am so sick of seeing running backs like Bucky Irving get way too much hype for what they're worth. Bucky Irving, to me, is not an RB1 this year. His ADP is way too high. Rashad White is still there. Sean Tucker is still there. Todd Bowles is still talking about Sean Tucker as if, we need to get him the ball more. And he's not lying about that, ladies and gentlemen. Even if Sean Tucker sees like 10% of the snaps behind 2 healthy running backs, Bucky Irving ain't it, Chief. He's not going to get as much work as you think.
Fair enough. I'm okay with Bucky. I love what I saw last year, but where he's going currently, it's a little bit too pricey for me. That 208, I'm not there yet to get him. We're gonna make people a little sad right now.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Make him cry. Oh no.
Little cry. Hey,
enough. Late round value.
But that's the whole point. That's why I like it.
Ooh, and Pitts.
Yeah, why not? Live up to the brand. I've got, I botched this whole thing. I last second thing, I wasn't really paying attention. I was and wasn't, a lot of different changes throughout this. Like I normally don't go with guys like Addison or Jennings, but unfortunately nothing was there. For me at those points, Cooper Kupp, I have no problem with, but I'm a little nervous about his scenario. Josh Palmer's currently hurt. Chris Godwin's hurt. Jalen Reed is hurt. There's so many people that are hurt in that round to the point where a wide receiver going there, I had to pick somebody. And it felt gross. And then I'm like, Trey Harris. I should have went with Keenan Allen. Like little things like that were my little bugaboos, but I already know where I'm making it.
So Jay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and read it.
Oh no, that's fine. So Caleb Williams is having trouble with Ben Johnson's offense. I can see the team not being the same page this season. If he could just what Jared Goff could do, that offense would be solid. So I'm going to let you go with that one because this is your Bears.
Preseason struggles are nothing to write home about, and I should maybe nothing is too strong of a word, but. Just because somebody is struggling at training camp does not mean we're in for a bad look for the regular season to come. It's a brand new system. Caleb is finally being developed in the NFL, which he's coming off of a coaching staff that was just not there for him last year. 100%. His offensive coordinator that he was given to start off in his NFL career is the former Seattle Seahawks OC, whose name I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but that's okay because he's fucking terrible. And he would not watch game film with Caleb Williams. No. That's your job as an offensive coordinator. So 100%. Caleb Williams had to pretty much coach himself last year. He did not have anybody helping him. And now having to learn a brand new system with some new-ish weapons being thrown at him, like a Colston Loveland and a Luther Burden, which I think are going to be really helpful for him when the later season comes. I would not worry about that right now because they're also trying to figure out who to start at left tackle. They got 4 guys they're rotating in and out. So just because they're tinkering with the cogs in the wheel, I would not be panicking right now about Caleb Williams. He will be fine. It's Tyson Bagent, the backup, that's going against a bunch of second and third stringers and worse. So you want your backup quarterback to be ready in case something were to happen to Caleb. So let's slow our roll on panicking about Caleb Williams.
I agree. I would not panic just yet. I am in agreement with that. I think they did everything that they could to fix this particular team. They gave Caleb everything they could to make this a good scenario. They gave him 3 interior linemen to help with running the ball and or pass, with the pass. They still got to figure out that left tackle, but once that figures out, I think they're going to use a lot of the same type of system that they ran with, the Lions, with a heavy run game to open the pass. That's something that is normal. The defense is actually pretty solid considering they have a better secondary than people think.
Yes.
And Johnson's a big part of that. One of the best corners in the league that is completely underrated. They have great options at safety, and they have really good linebackers. Their interior line needs a little work, but over that, everything else is
that.
fun.
They signed Grady. They signed Grady Jarrett. They had to do it.
No, understood. And that's my point. Like, there's a little things that need to be fixed, but the defense as a whole is solid. So they're going to be able to stay in games. They're going to be able to play well. And I think at this point, they're going to be just fine. I'm not too concerned about this team in any way, shape, or form when it comes to the struggles that they might have seen or shown. It's a little different when I see Justin Fields going through it. I don't see the difference. I don't see the problems with Caleb. You're learning the new OC, you're learning the new head coach who is a good OC that is a good person to work with. It's no Kevin O'Connell. It's still somebody that's worth training this guy to be better. I've said it 100 times before. Coaching matters.
Yes.
And he didn't have that last year, and we saw that. He now has somebody. Give him a minute.
Speaking of which, you know what else doesn't help the Caleb Williams narrative right now? The fact that we got the former Saints head coach as our new defensive coordinator. Why I'm forgetting his name is probably just because it's getting
Dennis Allen?
night. Dennis Allen is now leading our defense. Dennis Allen is already having an amazing impact on our defense, making our offense look stupid out there.
Well,
that's not helping.
I was going to say Dennis Allen, for his credit, he is not a good head coach. There are plenty out there that have tried the head coach role and it just doesn't work.
Matt Eberflus.
Well, I can name 100. Matt Eberflus, Wade Phillips. I could go on, but the whole point is that I'm trying to make is that, but they are good at certain things, and that's something that Dennis Allen is very good at as defensive coordinator. Vic Fangio, same thing. Like, there are so many out there that are better at their particular coordination position than they are at head coach. So I'm not worried about the Bears. Let's not worry about the Bears, not worry about that offense. Don't worry about what they look like in preseason and in the practice. Give them a minute to kind of work themselves out. It'll be fine. They will make it work. Now,
they absolutely will. Because even Trey Lance is looking good in the preseason, so he worked out his kinks. But
well, and that shows coaching. That is Jim Harbaugh at his best, and that's not a horrible thing. They might even be trying to get rid of him, but I don't think they will. Because normally when someone looks that good, it's because they're trying to find a way out and get something for it. But we just finished up all of our drafts. I didn't get a chance to talk to Evan about one thing that I wanted to talk to him about is my Giants, because we didn't get to talk about Giants. We talked about the Jets. We talked about the Bears. I want to talk about my Giants for a minute. So 2 guys that I wanted to talk about, of course, are Wan'Dale Robinson and good old Tyrone Tracy. These are 2 guys two guys that we were talking about, and 2 guys that I want to be able to have a few minutes to kind of talk about, because now I can voice my opinion a little bit. I already heard your side. I get it. I understand your point. I'm going to have you speak about it again because I want you to, so I can get it fresh in my brain. I already have mine. let's talk about Tyrone Tracy. Today he went at the 904. Do you feel comfortable with him there?
Let's see who went around him. We have, let's see, he went before Jalen Warren. I don't think so. No,
Okay.
thank you. I'd rather have Jordan Mason and Jalen Warren over Tyrone Tracy. I just felt Tyrone Tracy, with 192 carries that he was given, he did okay with efficiency on the ground because he had some games where he just beat the ever-living crap out of teams like the Steelers, the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the Buccaneers, who also were not that good at defense last year. But against teams that are better at stopping the run, like the Cowboys, the Bengals somehow, and well, that's because they had Trey Hendrickson, and and then later in the season they had Baltimore and the Colts to run into. The Colts still have a fairly respectable run defense as well, but yeah, he absolutely stunk against teams like that, which is indicative of just a team that is not going to be able to support him. But they drafted Scadaboo for a reason. They needed help at running back. That Devin Singletary is not able to back him up anymore and be worth a crap. And Tyrone Tracy is, I don't want to say he sucks. He's not a bad running back, but he's also a guy that you do not want leading your committee long-term because he's just not the answer. He's not even that bad of a pass catcher compared to a lot of other running backs, but if you force feed him the football, you don't expect to get too far after the catch. He's not Alvin Kamara.
No, I do not think in any way, shape, or form he is anywhere close to Alvin Kamara. Do I think that he is a good enough running back to be able to hold the line where we need him? Yes. He's definitely in some ways a little bit better of a real life running back than he is a fantasy in some ways. But I do think that in this particular case, Giants have done a lot to upgrade the offensive line. They have worked hard to make sure that that line is solidified. They are going to have Andrew Thomas coming back this year, who is a big cornerstone to that particular line. They are moving most likely Evan Neal into right guard, who I think will be the best option there, but he's still trying to earn that position. So we'll have to wait and see. I know. But from what I keep seeing, he seems to be he seems to be better at guard than he is at tackle, which is not saying too much. My whole thing about Tyrone Tracy, he's going to be working with Russ for at least more than half the season, at least. We'll see. Russ's career the last 2 years has been nothing but check down. He has passed the ball to the running back second and third most in the last 2 years. I think he has the ability to do this with Tracy. I think he will help him better than what guys like Daniel Jones and the 4 horrible QBs that they had there, because they weren't doing that. They didn't know how to do that well. He has the ability to go through the tackles. He has from the eye test, he runs forward and falls forward. He's not one of those backs that falls backwards when he gets hit. He goes forward. He's good through the tackles. He's good after the hit. Yeah, after getting hit, I think yards after contact were in a lot higher than what people thought. I have to look up the number. I don't have it in front of me. He had 3 top 10 finishes last year. All the rest were kind of outside of that. He did have a couple in the 13, 18 near the end of the year. I think his touchdowns go up. And I think that people are overestimating what Scadaboo is going to be there. Like, I think people see Scadaboo and go, no, I don't want him anymore. Scadaboo is not in any way, shape, or form going to scare. It should not scare anybody. If you look at all the training, all the notes from beat writers and from all the things that are going on there, Scadaboo's hurt currently, not getting any reps. I understand it's preseason. I get it. He's not doing well at pass protection. That's huge. That means he's not going to be in as much as he should be, or what people would want him to be a part of. Devin Singletary is not going to take away from Tracy. I'm sorry. It looks like Tracy's going to be getting anywhere between 60 and 70% of the snap share. That is huge. It's a huge part of what they need to do, because they need to be able to run the ball to be effective. Their defense is going to be better than what people think they are. That pass rush is going to be scary. I don't think people realize that. Thibodeau with Carter, with Dexter, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Brian Burns.
Can't forget about Brian Burns, but I do. Our linebacking core is weak, but our safeties and our secondary is pretty. It's okay. Deion Banks needs to get, do some work. I see a path for him to do well this season. I see him being in the I'm going to say top 15. That's my bold prediction. Could I see him finishing within the top 20? Of course. 20 is my limit. I don't see him falling out of that.
Yeah, that's not enough to tweak my mind on any of this, despite the fact that
That's
he
fair.
didn't really start to get the bulk of the carries until week 5, excuse me.
No, fair enough.
Week 5 is when he started. I mean, being a rookie, yeah, you don't want to run him into the ground, but
I understood.
I don't
get
like
your
it.
point.
Yeah, I don't like it. If they have to force feed him, they're in trouble.
They paid Singletary to be there. That was the whole thing too. Putting in a rookie right off the bat, that was a third round pick or something like that. I forgot exactly where he went. No, he was like a 4th round pick because we had
Yes.
Something like that. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. The whole point is that we drafted we picked up Devin Singletary for a reason. He was going to be the main guy, and then he got hurt. And then we brought in Tracy, and we saw a bigger production from Tracy, and then you saw the rotation change on a dime. You saw it go from Singletary getting 60 to Tracy getting 60 at that point, which is when he got hurt. And then he handled his business throughout the whole year. Yes, he had a fumble. I think he had 2 fumbles. Okay. He can work on that. Bring in freaking Coughlin for a day and tell him high and tight. Like, we don't have to go crazy here. It's two fumbles. Guess who else had 2 fumbles? Brees Hall. Guess who had 3? Josh Jacobs. Kyron Williams. It's okay. He can fumble the ball. Everyone uses the fumble thing. I don't get it.
I don't see fumbling being a problem for Tyrone Tracy. I just see overall NFL talent being a problem for him as an older running back that's on a bad offense that just finished being 3-14, and I don't see that record getting much better this year.
I optimistically think that we can get to 8-5 or 8-9. That is my hope, my dream. Realistically, could we see 6? I think 6 is realistic, but we have a tough schedule. It's going to be a rough year. We're in the NFC West. No, we're NFC North this year.
So, like what Jay Money brought up with strength of schedule, I hate that. I think it's one of the lamest excuses for teams to lose.
Because it changes within a day.
Yeah, it always does, because you never know who's going to miss time. You never know who's going to be coming off of a bad day or who sucks at playing in the snow like the Dolphins do, and so on and so forth.
100%.
But yeah, I don't care about strength of schedule in general, even for fantasy football. Step up.
Yeah, agreed. But I do see a realm where he can be in that. I understand you don't, and that's fine. This is where fantasy is fun. This is where we can argue those things. I could argue the concept that I like Jaylen Warren too. Same argument. It's the exact same argument to me. Jaylen Warren is the same kind of situation where you have an Aaron Rodgers who checks down, and that's what he likes to do. It just increases his ability and makes it where he's more valuable in full PPR. Jordan Mason's in a great situation, but his scenario is he doesn't catch the ball as much, so he's more of a handcuff comparatively. Jaylen Warren can be used and be more aware. That's why I like guys like Tracy a little bit more than a guy like Mason. But around where Warren is probably where I take him. I don't want Mixon. I'm not really on board with Brian Robinson, even though because of the guy that I picked up.
Here's the thing about Jordan Mason as well, though, is that Jordan Mason is we're now being told that this is going to be a 1A, 1B split backfield between, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, which is going to be the most work we've ever seen Jordan Mason get outside of the San Francisco 49ers, where Kyle Shanahan was just using him as a handcuff just because when you have CMC, why would you bother with anybody else, right? So
Agreed.
Aaron Jones is now getting up there in age, and he's just been beat up over the years, and he did not really look all that good last year. He's always had trouble staying healthy, even on the Packers. But even with a quiet RB15 season, he definitely looked worse than he has in his final few good seasons with the Packers. They had the better system to run it with. And by the way, yeah, Aaron Jones did get 255 rushing attempts, but didn't really do as much as he could have with
season.
it. Yeah. He played a full season.
Yeah. So, I mean, now I think, like I said, I think this is kind of like the mixing conversation we were having before, giving him somebody to kind of relieve him enough to be able to be healthy enough to continue and do well throughout the season. Maybe that's what they're doing with Mason. Either way, I prefer a guy like Tracy because of the path that he has, where Scatterboo doesn't scare me. Even if he's the short yardage guy, he does not scare me.
Well, hopefully his hamstring is okay too.
Well, still my point. He's injured now. He's still trying to deal with the hamstring in camp. And on top of that, hamstrings, if you've ever pulled a hamstring, unfortunately I have, it takes a lot of time to get that back. And I know these guys are athletes. They can get better, within a day comparatively to me, who I'm in my 40s. These guys are, I'm going to be 40 in December. These guys, they're in their 20s. They can heal a lot faster. But
I'm not that far ahead of you. I'll be 40 next month in September.
Oh, geez, you're right there with me. Oh, so you're fearing it too.
Kind of, yeah.
So, it's one of those things here where I feel more. I understand the argument with Tracy being an older running back and so on and so forth. He did well where he was. He transitioned well into a running back, from his wide receiver position. A little bit better of a who's the guy that's escaping my mind right now? Oh, Antonio Gibson type, situation. So hopefully I see a good path for him. So we'll see. Let's move on to Wan'Dale Robinson. I love Wan'Dale this year. And it's mostly because of Russ. I think he can work well with Dart when and if that happens. But it's mostly because of Russ. Russ's ADOT last year, 8 yards. He's been averaging 8 yards for the last few years. That's about the realm where Wan'Dale lives in the slot. Russ does not love throwing the ball that deep. And when he can, it's only like once or twice a game. He just does it to kind of open up the offense a little bit, saying, hey, I can throw it that way. You might want to back off a little bit. It's one of those like, a pitcher in baseball trying to swing it by the plate, just get off the plate a little bit. I think in this case, it's going to be it's a conversation that I had before about quality of target. You had 4 QBs last season that could not give him a quality ball. Gave him, what was the number again off the top? He gave him 140 targets last year. While Neighbors was the other guy who was second in the league in targets. Neighbors was second with 170, and Wan'Dale was 140. And that was with 4 crappy quarterbacks. Now you have Russ to be able to help that, bring that gap down a little bit, instead of having I don't even want to go look back at the completion percentage that all of them could have had. But I think that this year it can be better. He was 10th overall in targets last season. Yes, he was way lower in receptions, but that is the biggest part. I think that in this particular part, Russ can help him improve on that and only make him better with his yardage, where he was under 700. He had only the 3 touchdowns. I think they're going to use him a little bit more in the red zone than people think. I know we have Theo Johnson, who's bigger, and Malik and all that, all these tall guys. I think Wan'Dale is good enough to be able to be a part of that system as well, to be able to increase this a little bit because of Russell Wilson. No, I didn't do it.
No, I don't see it because, despite the 140 targets that Wan'Dale got last year because they had to throw to somebody else besides Malik Neighbors, he doesn't get anywhere after the catch. He always gets targeted inside of 2 to 4 yards. So at that point, he's not a good tackle breaker. He doesn't get red zone targets that are worth a crap that make me care. And if you're in a PPR league, sure, you could treat him as a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside on certain weeks because those target numbers are certainly nothing to be ignored. But I just don't see how Russell Wilson is going to make that any better for a guy like a Wan'Dale Robinson when he's got Malik Neighbors to pepper all day long. I think it's going to be an amazing connection. And then Darius Slayton just gets in the way from time to time whenever he feels like it. Big play Slay.
Yeah.
Slayton is not a guy that does more than just block. He doesn't get a lot of targets in general. He had weeks 5 and 6, he stepped up when Malik Neighbors went down, but then he just went back to just getting a lot of cardio in and just not catching the football. So I don't see it for Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't think he's that good.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so tough for me to not see a realm where he can't. I'm not saying this guy is going to be a world beater. I just think he can help in full PPR at the kind of like what you said with a 3 wide receiver grouping like this type of format where you have 3 and 2 flex, and you can put him in at the flex or at the the 3rd wide receiver. He's going to give you some weeks where he could get into the 2s and help you each week when he can. I mean,
I also just realized something about Wan'Dale. He got 18 total red zone targets last season.
I was just looking up his just looking up his red zone.
And
he only had the 3.
And yet, Wan'Dale only got 3 touchdowns. How do you get 18 targets in the red zone and only 3 scores?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's the Giants.
It's the Giants. It's sad. It's very sad. It's hard for me to not agree with you on that. I see him. I want him to be a top 20 guy, even though I know that's not going to be the case. I've seen all the tape with him. I had, I love the, I think it was CeeDee Lamb. He was on, I think, Parsons podcast. And, he's like, he was asked something about, a wide receiver to watch. And he went Wan'Dale, like without even stuttering or thinking about it. He went Wan'Dale. He's like, you need to watch him. This kid is going to be good.
Based on what?
I forgot. It was on a podcast. He was asked about the next wide receiver that he thinks is going to do well in the NFL. And he said, Wan'Dale Robinson, you got to keep an eye on this kid. He's an elite and he can do things that others can't. And he's just, I just remember saying, watch out for him. And I remember I posted it somewhere. If a guy like him is telling you that, no, they didn't go. Did they go to the same school?
No. No, he went to Kentucky, Wan'Dale. And
no, I knew he was Kentucky. I'm trying to think if he was at Oklahoma.
Yeah, CD went to Oklahoma.
Oh, that's what I mean. I'm trying to remember if they both went to Oklahoma at one point.
That's a good point. I don't know the answer.
That's the only thing that's throwing me off, because I think that they were teammates at one point, and that's why he knows of him in that way. But my whole point is that he was telling people to watch out for him because of the skill set that he is and how well he plays. That means something to me when an elite wide receiver like him is telling you to look out for him. I see Ross just melding with this guy and making his just elevating him, being the key to unlocking him.
You know what I see with Wan'Dale now that he's got Russ throwing to him? I could see Wan'Dale having a strong first couple of weeks against the Commanders, whose secondary I still don't believe in, and the Dallas Cowboys, whose secondary I don't believe in anymore now that they have Matt Eberflus as their DC.
Gross.
I think Wan'Dale Robinson is going to start off the first 2 weeks very strong with pushing 20 fantasy points, and now Wan'Dale's going to be like the ad of the week, and then he's going to come back down to earth after week 3, and it's going to be too late for people to sell, and you're going to have all this anger at him because, oh my God, he screwed me over. I needed him because somebody else got hurt, and they hoped that for Wan'Dale. I think he's going to be a flavor of the week early in the season.
Okay. I mean, first 2 games, I agree with you. Kansas City, he could be a little sneaky just because of the fact that they no longer have Snead.
They were not hurting last year without him, though.
True, but if they're going to blanket Neighbors, that leaves Wan'Dale as the guy,
which could be a possibility. But if we know anything about Wan'Dale and getting anywhere after the catch, It ain't happening.
No, fair enough. You're not wrong on that. He's a little dude that's not one of those guys to get much yak. He's a
Oh,
possession guy.
you know what's funny? I'm looking at his height and weight right now. He's 5'8", 185.
Yeah,
I'm
he's a small dude.
I'm 5'9" and 170. I did not realize that I'm close to Wandale's size.
Yeah.
I don't have his explosiveness or any of his athleticism. I mean, that's a different story. I'm 16 years older than the guy, but being small doesn't mean bad wide receiver to me. But like you said, he's a possession guy,
No,
and he's not Cooper Kupp in the slot, where Cooper Kupp is at least going to get way more yardage and red zone production out of what he can offer out of the slot, where
But
I don't see it with Wandale.
Kupp is also like twice his size at 6'1", 205.
Yeah, that kind of helps.
Yeah, so I mean a guy that's 6'1", 205 that can run basically have the agility of Wandale at his size, then yeah, that's why he's so good. Wandale he's a good separator, he's a good route runner. There's a lot that he can do to get open, and that's why he's so valuable. I liked him a lot when I saw the tape on him when he was drafted. I saw something a little different than what other guys that were available at that point. I have faith in him this season. I hope that it's what believe me, I have plenty of shares of him everywhere where I want to see it be productive for my team. So those are my little two arguments on those two people. You guys make your own assumptions. Tell us in the chat and or in the comments what you guys think. I think both were good arguments and both were fair to each of us, because it's a tough, it's tough to see. I think until we see it on the field, it's going to be unknown. We can go back and forth forever about what we think. Until it's known, we won't know.
One thing I will give you credit for, though, Mike, is being able to put your fandom aside to have to look at these things objectively, because that is not easy.
Oh, yeah, no, this is not a fandom thing.
I have to do the same thing for my Chicago Bears as well, and I might be having rose-tinted glasses on when I talk about Cole Kmet, but, I mean, they drafted Colston Loveland for a reason. I think they wanted a little more out of the tight end position that Cole Kmet just doesn't offer enough of, and I as much as I love Kmet, but, yeah, it's not easy to put all that aside objectively like the both of us have to do.
Yeah, honestly, I do my best to try to not be a homer with my particular picks. Last year, it was easy because there was no one but neighbors. But at the end of the day, I look at the numbers. I see what's out there. I see how trends are and what could happen with these particular players that come in, and the new offense and how it's going to run and blah blah blah. I mean, granted, I don't know who runs my offense, because who knows.
It doesn't matter.
Well. Kind of a little bit. I want to know, like, you don't see Mike Kafka and he's the OC. You're like, yeah, I didn't see him. I saw him once in the Hard Knocks. It doesn't make any sense. He wasn't at the combine. He wasn't anywhere. I didn't see him anywhere. Anyway, my whole point is I can try to, I do my best to be as objective as possible with these, even with conversations about my own guys. I am realistic with what, I have realistic expectations of what my guys can do. And I also can, think about how things might run in certain scenarios. I have my thoughts. Dable isn't dumb. He's going to find a way to make it work. We'll see.
I beg to differ on Dable with the way he treated Daniel Jones.
That. No, you know what? Fair. I think he's really happy with Dart. Really happy. And that's a little nervous.
I mean, he helped draft him. We hope so.
Hey, man. You get the guy you want because you want to be able to keep him and be able to keep your job. He wanted to keep his job. Get it. Dart is going to be interesting to watch. So I love his preseason.
So one thing I will give you, I'll extend an olive branch to you about your defense. So I always thought the Giants always had like a few key guys on their defense that would shock people on certain weeks. But I never thought they were actually a good unit. But now that you talked about the key contributors that could be a lethal pass rush this year, your assistant defensive line coach is Brian Cox. I remember Brian Cox as my middle linebacker on the Bears back in the 90s. The man's a beast. And if anybody should be coaching your guys, it should be Brian Cox. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm changing my mind a little based off of their coaching staff.
Honestly, yes, they've done a good job with that. The one thing that we have always been a little weak at is linebacker, but I mean, a 3-4 this year, so it's a little different. You consider guys like Thibodeau and Burns as outside linebackers, which they aren't. They're essentially just smaller DNs in this case. My whole thing is our two middle linebackers that we deal with Bobby Okereke and Mika McFadden. McFadden is somebody that people should keep their eye on. This kid has a nose for the ball and can get to where get to that ball quicker than anybody I've seen. He has to deal with his injuries. I think he's too aggressive with things sometimes where he overpursues and then gets hurt based on that. Bobby Okereke is a shell of his former self. Still good, but he's not what he was on the Colts.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, and I'm kind of glad we were able to have this discussion too, based off of what I brought up last week with Kendall about New York Giants skill players, and we're about 2 hours in. I need to start wrapping things up soon,
Same
so
here.
I'll let you do the same.
No, I was going to wrap things up. This was going to be my last point. I'll give 2 cents to Jay. Valuable handcuff. He thinks Zach Charbonnet. Especially with Walker, I agree 110%.
Charbonnet's not a handcuff, though. He does have some standalone value in some weeks.
I agree. Either way, though, still like him as what people might consider a handcuff. Who is somebody? Quick thought. Who's your most valuable handcuff?
That is a really good question because handcuffs are guys that I always avoid in redraft leagues because they are not worth drafting because drafting a running back handcuff is a good way to have dead weight on your bench because they are freaking worthless unless the guy in front of them gets hurt or just can't play for whatever reason. Okay. So if you're talking about a redraft league, J Money, forget it. Go get some upside running backs rather than handcuffs. And if you want to go grab a Charbonnet, if you grab Walker, yes, that is the way to go.
Agreed. The only guy that I'll mention is Ray Davis. He's the only guy that I will love to have in one way or another. Braylon Allen is the other. Those are the only two that I target, if you will, just because of their ability to be an RB1 if, God forbid, something happens. I'm not Rafi's not wrong. Algier's another guy too, but I'm saying those two guys, better systems, better scenario. Well, at least Davis is in a better system. We'll see. All right, we're gonna have to wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen, because I need to respect my guest here and what he has done. Thank you so much. I mean, Evan, I really can't thank you enough for coming on. It's really appreciated. You've been here for the 2 hours on top of the fact that I asked you at the last minute. So thank you so much for your time and really helping us out here tonight. Good luck to everybody in our mock draft tournament and yourself because you're in there too. So good luck to everybody. I hope everyone had fun in this mock. Thank you all for those that mocked with us today. So thank you. Continue to check out the Discord. We'll let you guys know the winners probably Monday late afternoon once we get everything in. We do have 2 guys on the West Coast that get it in a little bit later, but that's okay. It's just how things go. They get it in probably around lunchtime there. So J Money, thank you so much for your time. Definitely put those notifications on. We are here every Friday, so we will be doing mock drafts all the way through Friday. Get in our Discord if you want to be a part of our mocks as well. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. We will see you all soon. Take care.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.